Hey everybody, it's Zach. Welcome back to the Heroverse. And guys, this will be my Legacies Season 4, Episode 14, called The Only Way Out is Through, if I'm correct. Yeah, The Only Way Out is Through. This will be my spoiler review, guys. As you guys can see, Annie is not here with me. She started work this week, so she was a little tired, so that's why she isn't in the spoiler review. But hopefully she will be in, and we said it in, I think, last week's episode, or said in one of our previous reviews, that Annie, won't, sadly, like, there'll be days that she won't be here, but days that, hopefully she will be here. But today's just one of those days where she was super tired after work, and, she, couldn't make it here to do the spoiler review, which is fine. But guys, this was another great episode of Legacies. I really enjoyed this episode of Legacies, mainly because I was really looking forward to in the sneak peek we got for episode 14 of, we're seeing of Artemis. So, we see Rupert in this episode, we get Ethan back in this episode, and we know previously in last week's episode, he went to go get a cake for Rick's party, and so did, and so also it sounded like Finch was with him, but we don't get Finch in this episode. I'm not quite sure where she is, but I really like this episode, how we start off with Hope, pretty much, in this weird, eerie place, and, we end up seeing, she takes off the cloak of something, and ends up being the good version of Hope, and she said, "Oh, you're not so scary," and then she's like, oh, but I am getting stronger, and she ends up waking up being scared, meaning that she is still feeling the effects of the clown in last week's previous episode, the clown that was kind of like, running rampant around the school because Ben pretty much, attracted it there, and, Hope, as we all know, pretty much made it so like no one could leave the school, made it so like Ben couldn't leave the school, and was kind of like, using Ben as a way of bringing a monster in and no one escaping, to find out, oh, you guys need me to help, like you guys need me, you guys can't go save Lizzie on her own, and you guys can't go take out Aurora on your own, and and take out the gods. You guys need me to help you, to lead you guys into battle with the gods. Like, I'm gonna do this to prove it to you guys that Ben can't leave, and this clown monster is gonna come in here and terrorize the place, and you guys are gonna need my help. I'm gonna force you guys to need my help, and so so you're just gonna have to deal with it. So essentially, she is, by the end of that episode, we saw her pretty much, coming like she's still suffering the effects of that, the clown's goo that makes people see their worst nightmares. And, Hope's worst nightmare is the fact that she's coming to terms with the fact of her humanity, and that, she's scared of turning that back on. She's afraid that, like, she'll feel again. So that is what she's essentially afraid of. And we see the morality of Hope pretty much haunt her throughout this episode. And we could really tell it really gets to her in this episode, because we get a lot of great scenes where it's like the good version of Hope is telling the bad version of Hope, like, yo, I turn on your humanity. You're doing this all the wrong way, because we get the one scene where they're all together, and we see, Rupert pretty much come in, and he is setting up, this device that pretty much is going to predict how they are going to fight the gods, and it's helping them. It's like a training seminar, and like, oh, these are the right moves you need to do, so that way, like, no one dies. And that was a really cool moment where, like, Hope is, she isn't thinking about anybody else but herself. She thinks that people are expendable, and we see that in this episode where she's literally she's like putting everybody, like throwing everybody else at, out onto the chessboard, and not having a care in the world, thinking like, oh, like, once I go up against a god, I could do it on my own. You know what I mean? We just gotta we gotta get Lizzie out of there. We need to take out Aurora, and we got a lot of cool moments where, we get, I forget what it was, we get, at first they weren't winning at first, and then they started winning when they started doing, like, great tactics on they took out Aurora first, and then they were able to get Lizzie out of there, and all that. So that was really cool to see all that go down, and seeing the how Rick was feeling on, like, that Rupert even puts, Lizzie on the chess, on like in the training seminar, and on the chessboard, like, saying, look, she might be a problem. We have to come to terms with, we might have to, if it comes down to it, to save our world, take her out, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, we have to put her here, and we can figure out ways that, this will predict if she'll turn back to our side, because there's more of a higher chance, because we are her family. She will turn back to the right side and help us stop, Aurora, and stop, her from doing what she's doing, because essentially they don't really know what Aurora and Lizzie's plans are, except I don't even think Hope even knows what they're planning, because like she wasn't there when Aurora and Lizzie made that binding spell to see like so she's like Lizzie couldn't back out, so they could get back, Aurora could get back her brother. So, and also, as we all know, Lizzie wanted to prevent Hope from turning off her humanity, prevent Josie from leaving, prevent, Hope from hurting, her father. So they are literally going through with that plan. And of course, Lizzie doesn't know, while they're trying to figure out ways to like, save Lizzie, but they're also putting her on there just in case of the fact of like, this is possibilities of what could happen. She could kill somebody if we do the wrong thing, because she is fighting for something. She isn't really thinking in the moment. So she wants to like, she might do whatever she can to, to go through with her plan, because they don't really know what they're doing with the gods. Hope just knows that she and Aurora are trying to go help the gods, or are working with the gods or something, but they don't know really what the plan is and what Lizzie and Aurora are trying to do and trying to accomplish. So I love how they really don't know yet, and I love how we see the side of like Lizzie and Aurora. They made their pact on going to go find Jen, and pretty much have her grant them, I guess, have them turn back time so they're able to, or even grant a wish. I think it's like they wanted to get like a wish first. I don't even know if they know about the whole turning back time thing yet, but essentially they want to get Aurora's brother back, and she wants to undo everything that Hope has done and everything that's craziness that has happened. And they go find Jen. They try to like they try to bribe Jen with like weed brownies and tacos, which I thought was funny, like weed brownies and like tacos for the munchies and stuff. So I thought that was all funny. Annie, of course, didn't realize that was like when she's like, "Oh, I got you special brownies." I'm like, "Annie, that's weed." Like it's a paper bag, and she said special brownies. Like how like obvious is that's definitely weed brownies. And of course, Jen is a stoner. Like she's like a stoner girl. So I was like, how you not see the pieces here, Annie? So I was like, okay, but I just thought that was funny because they're bribing her, and of course it works, and she's like, oh, she explains the story, and now she was kind of like casted out from her family of the gods, and they are actually all in those coffins, which was very interesting because when we saw those coffins last week, I thought, I was like, okay, are they dead? Are they still alive? Like, are they not in there yet? Like, I was like, no, but I was like, I told my sister they must be in there, but are they dead or alive? We don't know. But it turns out she was a cast, like her father and the family casted her out essentially. Only wanted her to make weapons, but she refused to make weapons. She would only protect her family with armor. So she became an armorer, not somebody that would make really weapons to hurt people. And she pretty much considered her family like monsters, except one dude that was like the one that was in charge of like time and stuff, and remembered her birthday. She's like, oh, like I had one family member that he was in control of time. He was the god of time, and he remembered my birthday. And she's like, you get it? He remembered my birthday because he's the god of time and stuff. And he's like, I was like, thought that was really cheesy. I was like, that's kind of a cheesy joke, but of course, she didn't like the fact of they never really treated her like a family member. They didn't like that she wouldn't make weapons. And the one moment where like her dad actually, her dad's name was, I have to figure that out, what the dad's name was. But the dad's name was Ken. So Ken pretty much went to her in a time of need, and he was afraid. And she could really tell that he was afraid. And he's like, for the first time, my dad needed something from me, and he kind of accepted me a part of the family. But he was afraid. He was afraid of another creature. Or actually, no, he wasn't. Like, he was afraid that, that everybody else were fearing another creature on Earth and not fearing them as gods, which give them, I guess, their strength and gives them their, like, their power, essentially. The feeling like, oh, the humans fear us and stuff, but they fear even more of a dangerous creature than them, which is, they mentioned Malivore. So Malivore was like, and that's why he was so afraid, because people feared Malivore than they feared the gods, which I thought that was really cool, that like the gods feared Malivore. I was like, that's really cool. And I said to myself, like, oh, why wouldn't they go down there to, try to fight Malivore? But we've known how much of a threat Malivore is. And I was like, this is so perfect that even the gods are afraid of Malivore. I was like, that's actually pretty cool. And, I love, like, the fact of that he didn't want to like go fight them. He wanted the daughter to make them coffins so they could wait it out until Malivore died. And I guess they expected she would be in one of the coffins too, because there was an empty coffin that she shut. And she's explaining to Lizzie and Aurora, like, oh, like I hid the key. They expected, when the time came where Malivore was, dead, I would let them out, but I'm not. They're monsters. They were the problem with, they were hurting the humans. That they were the problem. They were the monsters and stuff. And I don't even know if I'd and she said she destroyed the key, and I was like, oh my god, good, she destroyed the key. But like, of course, Lizzie's like, you didn't destroy the key or whatever. That's like how I am. Like we had or that's how my family is or whatever. Like you can never just turn your back on family. You know what I'm saying? So like, I know you didn't destroy the key. And she said, I didn't destroy the key. I put it somewhere that I couldn't even get to it. And actually, she ends up putting the key inside Ben, and knowing that Ben would because Ben is a demigod. They didn't accept a demigod, so I really did like how like Ben was attracting monsters. So of course he would track Malivore, and she knew by putting the key in like inside Ben that I guess like she knew of Malivore, because again, like the gods, her father feared, and her father and the gods all feared Malivore. So she knew that would, like, since Malivore is a thing now, Ben would attract it. And knowing that, oh my god, like if Malivore were to were to like eat Ben, like he like or was like would he would like I would lose the key, and I wouldn't have to worry about the key being being found, and then them and people releasing the gods, which was very clever on Jen's like part. But of course, as we all know, Malivore died, and she knew that. But again, I guess I don't know if she did know that or not, because I mean that would suggest that like Ben would come back. I don't even know if if she knew that if Malivore was dead, then then Ben would come back. But I know, but like Lizzie even says like Malivore is dead. Why didn't you bring them back? So she probably assumes like she still thinks that her brother Ben is dead. And she's like, the only like regret I made is like, I wish I didn't do that, and I wish I could say sorry for why I did it and stuff. And it was really sad because Aurora was like, pretty much told Lizzie no, like don't tell her, like shook her head, don't tell her that Ben is alive, because Aurora saw Ben in the previous episode on her trying to be like a teacher, and like that was filling in for Rick when he was still in the hospital. So that was very cool to see all that go down, and that they know. And I expected more from Lizzie, especially for all the stuff that she's went through, that she wouldn't want to tell somebody that your brother is not dead. You know what I mean? Like you actually, like, you know what I mean? Like, because she's went through so much pain, she's going through so much pain, thinking like Rick is still on the verge of on the cusp of dying, and like Josie's still gone, and and her world's pretty much fell apart. You would expect her to want to help somebody instead of keeping that from somebody, but of course she has an agenda right now on wanting to save, and on the pact that she made to Aurora, on wanting to save Hope, wanting to save or her father, wanting to save Josie. So right now, like, she is like, okay, I understand why we have to keep this keep this hidden from her, because I mean, even if because she wouldn't let us, even if we told her, she wouldn't let us let out the gods from the coffin. She wouldn't let us. She would try to stop us. So them keeping that hidden from her, because again, if they would have told her that Ben's alive, she would have took the key and hid it away from Aurora and Lizzie. So that, of course, Aurora's like, no, like, I'm not letting her try to take the key from us. Like, I want to let out the gods so they can give us our wish, because, or like a favor, because Jen explains like, oh, whoever, like, my father said whoever lets them out, he would grant them a favor, which would be one of them, turning back time to grant them a favor for letting them out. And also Jen doesn't want them out because her father and the whole family will get angry at her for keeping them locked up, even though she knew Malivore was gone and she had her own agenda. So I love everything that's going on with this. And, of course, Lizzie's downing herself because she ends up coming across, how, like, Rick stumbling outside of the building and talking to Rupert about everything, and talking, like, Rick is talking to Rupert about Lizzie, saying, like, oh, like, I'm like, how was Lizzie when you saw her? And he's like, she felt lost. She felt like, she felt lost. She didn't have the people there to prevent her from being, like, feeling lost, because you weren't here. Josie left. Things went to shit, essentially. Like, that's why she feels lost right now. And that really made me sad that, Lizzie is like debating on wanting to turn on Aurora. Like, look, like, I want to, everything has changed now. I don't even know if I want to do this anymore because my dad is fine, and we could get back Josie. And like, she's kind of thinking like, I don't need to do this, but like, she made a pact to Aurora's, like, if she doesn't do it, she'll die. But I love how Aurora's like, that's only on what I consider of you betraying me. But like, if I was in your shoes, I would wanna be with my loved one. Like, you can go. I don't consider this you betraying me. But like, and like Lizzie says, like, look, you only need to let out the time god, because if you let out, Ken, we're gonna have to come after you, because we can't let you do that. If the whole time god thing doesn't work, you cannot let out Ken, the main god, like, because that will doom our world and doom us. Like, we will go after you. And she's like, I would consider that an act of betrayal, and that means you would die. So it's either you go live, with your family, and stay out of my business, but if you get involved, you will die because of the pact we made. And that's interesting to see what will happen. I feel like there's a loophole to that thing. I feel like there is. I feel like especially Hope could probably find it. But I don't know. I mean, with everything that was happening in Hope in this episode, pretty much, making people expendable, and all the crazy stuff that she was going through in her own head of like her humanity, like pretty much, saying like, pretty much the good Hope of her humanity telling the bad Hope, like, let me out. The only reason this isn't working is because we're not working together, is because you don't have your humanity turned on to make the right decisions when it comes to strategizing and working together. Like, that's what will make us be able to beat the gods. That's what will give, our friends or even our family confidence, so we can take out, and the strength that they need to take out the gods, to save Lizzie and to essentially save the world. And we get that beautiful moment where like, she does like listen to her humanity side, and she does do all the right things. And even her humanity side is like, when she's versing Ken in this little like, test, in this like little field test, she is like, she's getting weaker and weaker the more she goes up against Ken. And I love the moment where like, you're at like 20% now, like, and you're like only at 1%, like you need to back out now, you need to run away, Hope. And then that's when, of course, MG, Caleb, Ethan, what else? I can't believe I'm forgetting all the other names. What is it? What else? All the other, I forget all the other kids' names, unfortunately, but they all like, Cleo, and they all like, and Jed, and I think it's coming to me now, but they all pretty much come together, and that was exactly what they needed, was Hope willing to sacrifice herself to stop a god. That's what they wanted that leader, not this Hope as their leader. And I loved that. But then we get the moment where like, she's like saying no, like, I don't want you guys to, like, I don't need you guys, I hate you guys are pathetic. You know what I mean? Like, somebody take me out. And then we get that moment where like, and she's like crying right at this point, which was very sad. It's like, she is so scared to turn back on her humanity. She thinks that the good version of herself was lying to her, saying like, oh, like, trying to trick her into thinking that, like, oh, like, that's what I need, me turning on my humanity, like, this is what I need, when that's not what I want. Because she's afraid to turn back on her humanity after all the pain that she suffered before. And, I feel like Rick and everybody kind of saw, like, she's so close from turning back on her humanity, because she was, like, talking pretty much, like, as we all know, she was talking to somebody that she sees in her head. So everybody's like, who are you talking to? And like, knows that she's like literally at the cusp of turning back on her humanity, which I just loved that. So I'm just excited. Of course, when she's like, somebody, is anybody gonna take me out? Because she's like, I'm gonna kill you guys. Is anybody gonna take me out? And of course, Rick takes her out. He snaps her neck, and pretty much puts her in a cell. And that's when Rick calls somebody, saying like, I'm pretty sure, I couldn't tell who he was really calling. I'm assuming he's calling, Hope's family, some of the family members that are left of her family, to like, so because we see Rupert ended up fixing the therapy box that Hope ruined in the first part of the episode. And he made it a little bit stronger. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna use the therapy box, and he's calling in some backup so that like if we're gonna turn back on her Hope's humanity, it's got to be now. So next week's episode feels very touching on that. She's kind of having like a reunion with some of her family members, and it's kind of, I feel like this is gonna be the moment where like it actually turns back on, because that was a really cool moment where like she's like, I think I can do it this time, and and make this work, but I need to turn back on but with my humanity this time. I'll try, like, let's run the simulation again, but with my humanity. I thought she was actually going to turn back on, but she was only like, people thought she did, but she actually didn't. She was actually just talking to that version of herself and stuff. At least that's what I think. And they just thought that she actually turned it back on, or maybe she did. Subconsciously, she did turn it back on, and she still saw that good version of herself. And then that's where she's like, "No, I can't be this." But I think she didn't actually do it, but they thought she did because she's listening to the good version of herself. So I'm just excited. I really liked this episode, and I'm kind of hoping it does turn back on next week, but I'm not quite sure. I feel like if any time's the time to do it, I hope next week is, like Rick said, if you guys are going to do it at any time, it's got to be now. So I hope it does turn back on, and I feel like this is a right way to do it. Unlike, what I'm afraid of is like Landon coming back, and then that's what's going to turn back on her humanity. I hope that's not the case. Along with the fact of, I love how we do see, we get the whole, like, we don't get much of Landon and Necro in this episode, but we get the moment where I guess he's finding out that somebody is scamming the genie, or someone's taking like the coins from the genie, and their idea is to like steal like the money, I think, from the person that's stealing the money from the genie so they can get out. At least that's what Necromancer's plan is. And of course, if that's his plan, Landon's like, we're in this together. You know what I mean? Like, we're teammates. We're in this together. And I guess that's what they're hoping, is that they can scam that one great value Ghost Rider dude so they can get out of there. But then again, I don't even know if that will work. So I don't know where they're really going with this, except somebody ended up, they tried setting up like a trap. So they ended up bringing coins, and they were standing at the road saying, "Oh, no, don't take my coins I earned." And we just see them get tranked and dragged into a car, and then they get taken off. And I'm thinking, who is the one that tranked them and took them out? Is it like a bounty hunter that got like sent there? I don't know. I'm just excited to see where that's going to go and how they will get back, because I feel like, of course, Landon's going to come back somehow. Same with Necromancer. I don't know if he'll still be Necromancer when he gets out. I don't know if he'll just become Ted again. I don't know. But I'm excited to see what they'll do with that. And I'm excited to see now that kind of like Lizzie made her choice. She actually ended up helping Aurora capture Ben to get the key. Clearly, she's going on with the plan for Aurora's sake, but will she do it when she does get to the, like, will she still undo it? So maybe, like, Rick never got injured. Will she still go through with it? I don't know, because clearly she saw Rick was fine, and she was kind of debating on if she wanted to even go through with it or not. So I don't know, will she still do it if the one time dude works? But that's even if the time dude is even willing to grant them like will even is even willing to like give them a favor. I don't even know if he even will. And apparently that's as Jen said, that's the only semi nice god, was the one that remembered her birthday. So that's why they're really counting on that one to really turn back time to get Aurora's brother back and her family back. But who knows if he's even gonna do it? He might take orders from Ken, that's why I'm afraid if it comes down to that, I feel like she's gonna release Ken, and then all shit's gonna break loose. But I don't even know what's gonna happen, and if she gets involved, Lizzie's gonna die because of the pact that they made. So I don't know what's gonna happen going forward. I just know that next week's episode is gonna be very interesting with Hope's humanity, hopefully coming back on next week, because I feel like this storyline has been dragged out for so long, and I feel like this would be a perfect opportunity to do it. But not gonna lie, I was kind of expecting it would happen in today's episode, because she got to the point where like it was really getting to her. Like the good part of Hope was really scratching out to want to come out. Like it was really like wanting to break out and wanting to take over. And we really saw that through, Bad Hope, when she was crying, saying, I'm not gonna, and saying to that version of the Good Hope, I'm not gonna let you trick me. I'm not gonna let you think that, these people mean anything to me. And even though they're pathetic and all that stuff, somebody take me out, I'm here to kill you. Like, that was just a really emotional moment. And I'm just like, it could have just happened right there. But I'm happy that they're waiting for this perfect moment for kind of like a family reunion. And I wouldn't be shocked if somehow, like in the therapy box, somehow she manifests as maybe Klaus, and like maybe, I don't know. Again, that's just like it could be a far off theory, who knows, but that would be a cool little fan service moment if they were to do something like that. But who knows? I highly doubt that maybe that can even happen. It's just a far off theory of mine. It could happen. So I don't know, but I feel like it maybe is that a possibility because we're seeing everybody else. But I'm just excited to see where things will go. And yeah, it was just nice to see Ethan again. And Ethan and MG made a pact saying that they would save because apparently two people were going to die in this situation. They said out of all, like, that's what I guess, like, no matter what they did, like, two people would die. And they said, like, we have to make sure one of, like, out of those two people, Lizzie's not one of the people that dies. We have to promise each other that won't happen. And that is very interesting to me. I wonder if one of them might die in all this chaos. That either could be MG, it could be Ethan. My guess, Ethan, because I feel like they're kind of leading up where, like, Ethan is trying to really redeem himself, and I could see Ethan mainly dying, trying to save Lizzie. But I feel like it would be a holy shit moment if it is MG. Like, that will really shock me if they go that route, but I don't even know if they will. If MG is the one because we know one of them is dying. Like, we know to save Lizzie. And hell, what if they both died? That would be insane. But I don't know if that's what's gonna happen. I could see that's like the big holy crap moment, MG dying. But I could see maybe Ethan taking that sacrifice for MG if, like, MG's trying to save Lizzie, and, like, MG almost dies, and like Ethan gets involved. So MG, so MG can take Lizzie out to safety, and Ethan dies. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know mayhem is about to break down soon. And I'm just excited to see where all this is going to go. And we all know, like, even if, like, Lizzie went through with it, she can't bring back Josie because the actress, like, doesn't want to come back, it seems like. So I don't know, like, what's going to happen with that. So who knows? Maybe she'll make an appearance if they do that for, like, a minute. I don't think that's what they're going to do. Or I could see her maybe coming back later down the line for, like a little cameo. I don't know. But I'm just excited to see what's going to happen going forward. Again, this was a pretty damn strong episode, all things considered. I really did enjoy that aspect of seeing the Good Hope, kind of like, trying to get the Bad Hope to turn back on the humanity so the Good Hope can come out. I thought that was really cool. But guys, that was a video again of, episode 14. But guys, that was a video. Again, here, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, put on those notifications, like this video. I'd love to have you guys here, part of the fam, part of the channel. We're all about spreading love, positivity, and motivation. And guys, we are almost, again, to 500 subscribers. So yet again, I would really, really appreciate it. Again, if you've come across my videos before, if you guys would subscribe to the channel, put on those notifications, and like this video, which is really much appreciated. But guys, that was the video. I hope everybody has a great day, a safe day. And I'll see you guys next Thursday for episode 15. So yeah, guys, peace.